Well, welcome to the 700 Club. For today's top stories, let's go over to the CBN News Desk.
Gordon rescue workers are searching for survivors trapped in the rubble after a 6.5 quake shook Japan Thursday night. At least 9 people are dead and hundreds are wounded. Meanwhile, serious aftershocks are hindering rescue efforts and creating the fear of another quake. Charlene Aaron reports.
The powerful 6.5 quake struck near Kumamoto City on the island of Kyushu, collapsing homes, sparking fires, and even derailing this train. Tens of thousands of people fled their homes, and television footage shows damaged buildings and buckled roads. Thousands of homes are without electricity and gas. Search and rescue crews went door to door in the dark, searching for survivors. American Noel Vincent lives near where the quake hit.
Suddenly, we just kind of felt the floor drop beneath us. That's what it felt like.
More than 100 aftershocks are shaking the region, hindering rescue attempts. The U.S. Geological Survey says they are likely to continue for about a week.
Aftershocks are still occurring, so we would like to give our best efforts to prevent any secondary disasters.
Japan, which sits along the so-called Ring of Fire, is no stranger to earthquakes. In 2011, a monster 9.0 quake struck, unleashing a deadly tsunami, which swallowed up entire communities, killing some 22,000 people. In recent days, 3 large quakes have been recorded in the region, including one in Myanmar and one in Pakistan. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders clashed in the 9th Democratic debate last night. The candidates met in New York days before the state's primary. It got feisty at times, with Clinton defending against questions of showing favoritism to the banking industry.
He cannot come up with any example because there is no example.
Secretary Clinton called them out. Oh, my goodness. They must have been really crushed by this. And was that before or after you received huge sums of money?
Meanwhile, all the Republican candidates met at a party fundraiser in New York last night. The governor of Tennessee vetoed a bill that would have made the Bible the official state book. The bill's sponsor said the measure was meant to honor the Bible for its historical and cultural contributions. But opponents argue it was unconstitutional or trivialize the Bible by equating it to other symbols like the state's insect or state rock. The legislature still has time to try and override that veto. A new law in Kentucky allows county clerks to issue same-sex marriage licenses without compromising their religious beliefs. The law is in response to Clerk Kim Davis's refusal to issue same-sex marriage licenses with her name on them. Last summer, she spent 5 days in jail for her stand. The law creates one form for gay and straight couples seeking a marriage license and does not bear the clerk's name. Studies show that sex-selective abortions are on the rise in the U.S. Some cities are seeing an increase in unbalanced birth ratios that highly favor males. Thursday, the House Judiciary Committee held a hearing on a bill that would outlaw abortion based on the gender of the baby. It is also aimed at giving women legal rights if they are being coerced or solicited into having a sex selection abortion.
There's at least 160 million missing girls around the globe because of sex discrimination. There's a lot of cultural coercion of women, even in the United States, to obtain abortion based on the fact that the child is a female. So what this bill will do is give those women an out. It basically gives them an awareness that they have a right to refuse to get an abortion if they're being coerced.
Opponents of the bill admit this is happening in the United States, but say it is not enough to justify a prohibition. The barbershop is back in business with a new film in theaters today. It is the 3rd movie in the comedy franchise, set in Chicago, a city facing a real-life crisis of violence. The film's director, Malcolm D. Lee, leads the cast with a script that addresses the deadly trouble with a dose of laughter and a message of hope.
Calvin's Barbershop is back in business.
What's going on, hungry black folks? Who wants some non-profit gangster grub? All right, soul food to save fool soul. Every delicious piece of beef helps keep a bullet off the street.
Barbershop, The Next Cut, is the 3rd film in the series that began 14 years ago. The cast includes familiar faces like Cedric the Entertainer and Ice Cube, and newcomers like rappers Common and Nicki Minaj. There's also a new director, Malcolm D. Lee. Ice Cube actually invited him to direct the very first film, but he couldn't work it out.
In terms of putting your stamp on this, not being able to do it with the first, what would you say in specific you think you wanted to do or you wanted to add to it?
Firstly, I wanted to make sure the right tone was set because we're dealing with a lot of really tough issues when it comes to gang violence and gun violence in the city of Chicago, which is really ground zero for gun violence in America. So I felt like we wanted to set the right tone, but at the same time, never let the audience forget that they were in a comedy.
You girls keep complaining about the chauvinistic talk in the shop, but y'all do the same thing in reverse. Each one of y'all want a super thug that can hold his own on the yard at the Cook County Jail, that's got 3 degrees from Harvard and making 6 figures. Meanwhile, you pass up corny dudes like Gerard every day.
Laughter makes tough lessons go down a bit smoother. And the comedy-filled cast served up plenty.
That Who Smoked Your Okra was popping on fleek last time.
There you go, Grace. Did she just say fleek? Don't just make up words, right? There's a whole dictionary full of words. Okay, it's a library down the street, Webster's dictionary. Go in there and flip through it. You won't see fleek in there nowhere.
That funny made it challenging for the director.
I remember when I was shooting the movie, I was like, this is gonna be like the first movie I've done that's gonna be really made in the editing room. A lot of movies get made in the editing room, but I knew that, all the stuff that we were gonna get was not gonna make the movie. It was as funny as it was, as great as it wasn't all gonna make the movie. So you have to chisel away at it and figure out what is the best version of the movie, and I think we got the best version.
As a filmmaker, I imagine you are always editing and changing even long after it's all done.
Films are never finished, they're only abandoned.
And those are today's top stories from CBN News. Gordon and Terry are back with more of the 700 Club right after this.